I'd now like to invite on the dais Sabas Joseph once again. Siddharth Shahade, please. Neha Singh Arora and Sushma Prabhu. I request you all to jointly light the ceremonial lamp. This is an effort to hospitality. How do you choose the right partner for the perfect experience? Maya Angelou had once said that, people don't remember what you say, people don't remember what you do, but they always remember how you make them feel. And that really is the crux of hospitality. Now, hospitality at an Indian social event is really the pillar of the success of your event. It's almost a matter of life and death when you choose your partner at a social event, almost. Now, education being the second topic of the panel. How education in the years ahead is going to be a game changer. Education is a great leveler. It's the driver of prosperity across society. And this recently, Sujit Bhalla spoke about in his new book called The Wealth of New Nations, saying that the wealth of nations will be determined in the years ahead by the literacy rates and the educational attainments of citizens across the country, which will lead to collective wealth for that nation. In fact, the Honorable President of India recently said that for India, talent and education are going to be the game changers. So in this panel, we're going to try and club and talk about hospitality on ground and how education will not only be a game changer for us in this industry vis-a-vis hospitality, but also a game changer for India at large. I'm quickly going to invite forward on stage my panelists. Pramod Gaikwad, who's CEO and partner at ICE Global. Good evening, delighted to have you here. Pramod, of course, leads ICE Global, that is one of India's premium experiential agencies. He's also an automobile enthusiast, right? And he heads Road Safe India, which is an initiative that works on creating safety on road and empowering action for that. I'd also like to invite on stage Fahad Jamal. Fahad Jamal, please join us here on stage. He's advisor for special projects. He's still doing interviewing. Okay, so he'll join us a little later. Now, he, of course, is a seasoned and most accomplished hotelier. We're very happy to have him here on this panel. I'd also like to invite on stage Sanjay Wazirani, who is MD and CEO of Food Links. Please join us here. He's actually someone who's played a huge role in changing the concept of dining in the country, and the organization has won many awards at the Jivas, the Times Food Awards, and at the Wow Awards Asia too. A very warm welcome to you. And now I'd like to bring on the dais the three panelists who were taking part in the next session. They really need no introduction, and one of them standing here doesn't like to be introduced to. Yeah? So absolute rock stars of the trade. They are veterans and are in that phase of their life where they're actually giving back to the industry. Sanjay Roy is here with me on the dais. He's Chief at Team Arts. He's also president of IMA.
You want to take it now?
Please come. Good evening. Welcome. We have with us Roshan Abbas, of course, who also needs Roshan. Good evening. An absolute legend there he is. And Samir Tuvekowala, who is CEO, Showbiz Experiential. Thank you very much, Samir, for taking time out and joining us here. Okay, so as we go along, we're going to figure out how we're going to club two panels into one. We still have only 20 minutes, so you'll help me with this, right?
Yeah, not to
So hospitality, how do you find the perfect partner to create a perfect experience? I'm going to ask probably the three of you first. Is it even possible to create a perfect experience? Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it even possible to create a perfect experience? Okay.
A perfect experience.
Okay. So give us that crux of the emotion where your client gets up and says, okay, this, according to me, is the perfect experience in terms of hospitality. Give us some memories, some examples.
I think the clients come with you with a certain amount of expectations and trust, first of all. They know what you're capable of delivering. And with that presumption, they come to you. And then they set the stage for you, say, this is my drama, you need to just enact for me, and you'll be better prepared for it. And if you have that capability that intrinsically you have that, so I don't see any reason why you can't possibly deliver it. And however difficult it is, because end of the day, there are, of course, boundaries, but within those boundaries, I think today, it's an exciting world out there. So when you talk about event management particularly, I think there's so much that's happening, and everybody just needs to get up with that.
What about you, Sanjay? Any memories of a perfect experience that was created, what the client said?
So for me, there are a couple of examples which are company food linked. I'll just cite one odd experience which was close to perfection. I don't know what perfection. I think people like us who are so passionate about what we do never feel satisfied, unfortunately, with
That's why I asked you this question to kind of set the context with the younger people in the audience.
So there was this one event, which we had a catering to do for, and it was one of where a cruise liner was hired for a wedding in Barcelona, and the client's need was to have obviously everybody thinks the food, and we also like to believe that food makes or breaks a wedding. And we had this experience where there was kebabs and curries and a lot of food to be done on the cruise, but there was no kind of coal allowed there. There was no kind of direct flame because of the restriction of the cruise infrastructure as a part of safety measure. But we had our team flown in from here. We had the gadgetries to that detail, which was not pre understood by us, or maybe that was not part of our clear understanding at the point when we signed the contract. Mm-hmm. And eventually we realized that we had to fly in our teams from here to Brazil, where the Costa cruise was docked. We went, we got the brand specs for what kind of electrical installations for tandoors we could do, for a gadgetry we could do. Okay. We had a whole rigmarole, and we flew everything 2 days prior to the event, and we fitted all the gadgetry in that 3,000 people capacity cruise where there were 1,200 people going to celebrate a wedding. And once the cruise takes off, the shore, then there's nothing you can do about any. So those are experiences where we went very close to perfection with that kind of combination.
And that's a lot to say, because 3,000 people, हम लोग एक अतिथि के लिए कहते हैं देवो भव. So 3,000 atithis, and you're getting it right, all 3,000 of them across...
3,000 capacity cruise with 1,200 guests on board.
1,200 भी कम नहीं है. 1,200 at an Indian wedding also is a lot to handle. Pramod, you've also been executing some glorious weddings in the last year. I'm going to ask you, what are the factors that you take into account when you're picking a partner for the perfect experience at a wedding? Hospitality and, catering, primarily.
Okay, so it's what we do at ICE Global. We're looking for partners who have the CEO approach. Now, the C approach is not about top-down management. C approach is an abbreviation. C stands for communication. We like partners who communicate with us, who can tell us what can be done, what cannot be done, how we push the envelope, and so on, who work with us. And communication is integral to any large format event. So communication is a very integral part of how we choose our partners, right? The second is the E, which is excitement. And there is always a point of fatigue coming in after you do events for 16, 17 years, or even 5 years. Cruise teams get fatigued, they're tired. It's 80% the same thing. We're changing aesthetics. So the excitement levels, enthusiasm levels are very, very important. That each event is important, each wedding is critical for that couple and the family. So communication, enthusiasm, and the O is for ownership. We want to work with partners who are very ownership driven on the project, who will go above and beyond the call of duty, who will not say, "Ye mera kaam nahi hai." So for us, the CEO approach essentially is partners who have got the communication abilities, the excitement to be involved in the project, to take it to the next level, and who have complete ownership on the project. And it's not always the most expensive vendor partner or the most expensive venue. It's the people who drive the business. So we choose our partners based on these three parameters.
And you don't look at past reputation, word of mouth?
Oh, sure. I mean, you always do a certain amount of due diligence, right? You always filter out and you look at the possibilities, because like someone mentioned earlier, there's only one take. You don't get a retake at a wedding. You don't get a retake at any event. So it's very important to do all the background checks. You eliminate all possibilities.
Right.
There are a million variables that can go wrong, right? But after you do all of that, you still get a few top-notch players who are your key option and a key choice. And then what matters is the ownership levels of a partner.
Samir, you wanted to say something?
No, please continue.
Okay.
Took the mic.
Okay. So, yes, Farhan.
Because I just wanted to add what Sanjay was saying.
Yes.
Because we've dealt with many partners over the years as a company. And I'll just tell you an example just last year. And we've been doing catering at Davos, for example. World Economic Forum. This is not a wedding, but this is a catering of a different standard and different magnitude and different expectations.
Yes.
So you have the world descends there,
Yes.
and then you've got to prepare yourself to the fine detail of saying that you're going to be delivering a sit-down dinner for the Prime Minister for 300 people, you're going to have a cocktail for 1,000 people, you're going to have this, and minus 20, minus 30 degrees temperature sometimes, So you have to gear up your staff, you have to gear up your facilities, you have to prepare for almost the details that, it's
That's what
detail, it's detail.
I want to catch you there and ask you this.
Yeah.
It fascinates me as to how, the hotel people, hospitality, actually prepare their ranks and files to deliver perfection in every moment, because that's really what hospitality at a social event, or even the event you're talking about at Davos, or at a wedding is all about. How do you prepare this big bunch of professionals to deliver that again and again and again through the day, through the next few days at this particular event? It's very difficult, huh? Looks very easy from the outside, but what goes on in the inside? Tell us.
I think primarily, Gitikka, to be honest with you, if you go back to where we take our people, from the hiring stage actually, that's where you really choose the kind of talent who work with you. And then, to me, I think the most important thing in this business is attitude. You hire people for attitude and train for skills. You skill and you re-skill them, retrain them, and constantly do it. Because end of the day, if you train them again and again, and of course reward and recognize them, ongoing basis, people will stay with you. That's why we have people who have served long innings with the company, and they've grown the ladder, and I think we've been very happy to have chefs, you have frontline staff, we have many people. I can give you hundreds of examples of that kind. But it is about retraining and looking into details. And when you talk of the hospitality business per se, there are just so many parameters that you have to see where you can actually pick up clues of what you need to train people from. Because the customer feedback today is very granular, and you are constantly looking at that as your training needs. And you go back to the board classroom and just train people for that, And then of course you have recognition programs that are very deep.
Can I just
Yes, please, of course. I was going to come to you.
Actually, one of the most important things that you sort of touched upon is the intent. And when you see the level of hospitality that the Taj and Taj, both the Rambagh and Mansingh certainly do some wonderful evenings for us. One is at the Jaipur Literature Festival, and every year, because the intent is to create something that's unforgettable, every year they will put together the most extraordinary themed evening, not with our input. It's their entire thought process that goes into it. And outside of the Taj and the Four Seasons, I don't see a third group that's able to do it in the same way that they do. When you walk into the St. James Hotel in London, the level of hospitality, I call it my second home, because of the level of hospitality that you will get, or at the Four Seasons here, once you get over the effect of seeing the slums out of the window, but that apart. It's really that intent, and that's not something that everybody is able to recreate or even is able to envision. And so when it comes to training, this is an intangible, and it happens because you get them to understand the philosophy of the organization, which is not about yesterday. It's a philosophy that's carried on over a period of time and permeates your every cell and being. So therefore he looks like this, not necessarily that he was...
So it is fairly a very expansive process, a very continuous process.
I'm deeply grateful, I think. Thank you so much. I think just to add what Sanjay said, because I think it's about the values and culture of the organization. And I think once you've kind of embraced them, I think rest of it is the smaller part, which is the skills. Once the value, because at the end of the day, if your values and ethics kind of you're happy with, and they kind of resonate with the company's values and culture, your personal values and beliefs, I think that's rest of it is a question of learning and everyday job and growing and so on and so forth.
Yeah, as they say, hospitality has to come from within. Yes.